Well, here I am. Welcome. This is my posted video. Let me check a couple of things here. We'll actually check them over here. I said that, there's a little bit of, they're calling it, Pakistan defense minister is saying the latest clashes with Taliban mean open war. Um, I don't know who has the upper hand there. Kushner, which is his Trump's son-in-law, is incomprehensive diplomacy stunt France. Doesn't stun anybody else. He's related to these guys. They're not. They're not very smart. What's going on with this thing here? Bill Clinton's testifying today, I believe, and they are serious. They should talk to Trump under oath, but I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. Probably not. Oath doesn't. An oath to tell the truth doesn't mean anything to that prick. So I don't know why they're going to do it. Okay, they're having problems getting the rockets to be able to test landing. I don't know. What can I tell you, folks? Moon is, like I said, that's only important if you're rich and famous, because that's where you're probably going to live, You're not going to live on Earth much longer. And people say, well, would you come up with this number 10 years? Well, I look at it from, I don't know how to explain it. I look at it from the point of view that originally some documentation that I had read about peak oil consumption meant that we would have, at that time I read the article, it was 38 years before we would run out of oil and be unable to, we'd start having problems growing crops, doing things like that. And there would be violence, people trying to steal food and oil and everything else. And I think that's what Trump saw that. I think that's why he's after Venezuelan oil, because he wants to control the market. But the point is that people are using other alternatives. They're using a less amount of oil. They're using it more to make lubricants and whatnot, which you can synthesize quite effectively, really, and go back into sun power, solar power, wind power, and other forms of energy, nuclear if you have to. But the problem is that AI, people are out there with this AI thing, and they're really, really, the data centers are really draw a lot of power, which I didn't understand until recently, but now I understand it. So, they're really difficult to deal with. So, they need more and more power. I don't know. Trump seems to think the answer is coal, and they show pictures that they use coal in the movie Rollerball, when you see them actually working, and you have the human beings as slaves shoveling the coal into the furnaces, which is, what's going to happen. Yeah. Trump is not very intelligent. I don't know how to. I really don't know how to explain him. He's a dangerous man, though, because his decisions are based on whims, not on scientific knowledge. The same thing with Kennedy, the minister, his personal opinions and what have you are somehow or another influencing how he makes decisions, and rather than science. So I guess we'll see what happens with that down the road. But it's not a situation that I'm looking that I think is going to be healthy, and that's what. But anyhow, you went that looking at that the 38-year figure, how long I've been down here, and how much time is left. It's roughly about 10 years, and that's what I'm saying. The way things are going, 10 years. It would seem about right to think where things become where we become even more self-destructive and in a very critical situation. Because we have very smart people, but they how to put it, they're not looking at the future. They're looking at today. Let's get it done now. But what's the long range effects of this? They don't know. They don't care. They don't see the harm. Electric companies don't consider the consumption of water and what have you when they when they build a power plant or something like that. They're not looking at it that way. They're not looking at the contamination long term. Same way when when they were fracking, they weren't looking at the long term consequences of their actions. And I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't think I thought about a lot easier. I think I grew up thinking we'd never run out of oil or oxygen or anything like that. At least not in my lifetime. And I'm pretty sure it won't be in my lifetime because I don't have that long left to live. If I was a teenager, I'd be seriously concerned right now as to whether or not my planet was still going to be here when I reached a certain age. And I might be taking the attitude, what the fuck what am I doing worrying about this shit? It's all going to end soon anyhow, I'm never going to see 25, something like that. That's the way, that's what happened during the 60s, when the kids realized something that they never expected to live past 30. And if they did, they figured you couldn't trust anybody older than 30. That's probably true today, too. Young people, outside your parents, once you become away from your parents, which means you're about 18, from that point on, I don't think you should trust old people. Listen to them, but don't let them govern you. They're good for history. They're not good for governing what you're thinking and what you're doing right now. They're just not. It's not a healthy situation. You know what I mean? So that's that. Now, March 1st. If I was back in we'll go back just say my 50s. Not that that's only 30 years ago. If I was back then, I would be getting ready for the spring. I would be going up and checking out all the lakes I fished to see how much ice was still on them. And preparing for the starting date, which is in April. Watching the river levels, because river levels indicate speed. High rivers run very fast. Low rivers run a little bit slower. So I'd be watching all of that stuff now, getting ready to go fishing and everything like that, which I haven't been in 20 years, and I'm really pissed off about that. I don't think I'll ever forgive my wife for that one. But this is the thing I'm involved in. Right now I do this stuff because I have nothing else to do. I do that in the carving, which I didn't get anything much done yesterday because I had to look for a replacement fan. I had to do some other stuff for my wife, which didn't require physical labor, but it required me to be on the internet and whatnot. And I just, I start looking at other things once I get on the internet, stuff for myself, kind of goofy. But that's it. And I got some stuff that came in yesterday for me, and I have to check all this stuff out. And I have ballots. Did I tell you I got my ballots to vote in 2026 for Congress? And I'm going to fill them out and send them in as soon as I possibly can. And of course, my wife thinks I'm fucking crazy. You don't live there. What are you worried about? I said, well, the government controls our money, What's wrong with you? You got to be careful about that. You got to know what's going on. I mean, you can't be... I have family in the United States. I mean, you have friends up that go to Canada and whatnot. Aren't you worried about that? No. And that goes back to they have... what's it? What am I trying to say? They have this short-term philosophy, Long-term thinking is. I don't know if long-term planning is really done anymore, other than moon launches and stuff like that, and that's not working out real well with them because they start to rush it and then it's gone. It was too expensive and nobody wanted to go to the moon. Could figure out a good reason to go to the moon until Musk realized that he understands it. As dumb as that son of a bitch is, and he's not a genius by any stretch of the mean. He's just a greedy prick that knows how to steal. But he began to realize that all the stuff that he's been reading, things are bad. Pollution, overpopulation, and something has to be done. And his easy way about it was to take all the rich people and make them live on the moon or something like that, because there it's different. You don't have you're pretty you don't have any competition for space. It's yours, and whoever gets there first can rule. But I think that's where the rollerboard situation came in, where they have the people that sit around and watch everything going on down on the earth, and they just siphon off all the energy and what else they can, and then they have to have some way of killing people, unfortunately. That was in Soylent Green, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember correctly the order of the movies, but I think that's the one where they walked them into chambers like the Nazis did to the Jews. They walk them into these disintegration chambers, and they're just gone instantly, They don't know where they're going or whatnot, They think they're teleportation chambers that are sending them off to a different planet or something like that, because you're only allowed to live so many years, because when you look at people, after a certain age, they become less productive. Their productivity changes. That's what determines their termination point, when their productivity does. But if you get young people seeing that, young people are going to get pissed, But if you have the ability to colonize the moon, you have the ability to colonize the rest of the universe too, And I don't know, either we'll destroy each other or ourselves, or we will eventually reach a point where we start to colonize other planets. And we'll see what happens, We have to change our ways, because we're very self-destructive, we're very, very greedy, and we're very possessive of stuff. You know, we have to change our ways if we're going to survive. But so I don't know whether humans can really change that much. Anyhow, I'm depressing myself, and it's Friday. It's the weekend. Why am I depressing myself so much? You know, that's stupid. All right, listen, guys. I'm out of here. I'm gonna take a couple of Xanax and cruise around the living room a few times. You guys have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow. I know. I take Sundays off still because and I'm not getting anything done. Isn't that amazing? I took Sundays off, so I'd be, since there's no football, I said I'm going to keep Sundays off. I can get some stuff done. I don't get shit done. All right? People are always coming over and hanging out, and when they do that, I have no place to sit, and I can't do anything. I can't work with knives when my grandkids are in the house. I don't want them seeing me handling my carving knives and stuff like that. I lock that stuff away. If I'm still around in a couple of years and still able to do it, then maybe I'll leave it, let them come see it. All right, that's it. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe. You're just building up my army for the coming revolution. That's all. Subscribe to me, and I'll be there for you. Subscriptions are good because they show a relative sense of interest in what I'm doing. To YouTube's uses that as a help in seeing how many people are on YouTube. So I don't make any money, and like I said, the way I'm going, the way I'm having those subscribers just jump in there real fast, I don't think I'm going to ever make any money. I don't think I'll live long enough to see anything from this. But anyhow, you guys all have a great day today. Go out, party your brains out, and I'll talk to you in your hangover tomorrow morning. Ciao.